You mentioned the word you smile and you rise. I think that so many young athletes today probably aren't given permission to smile, especially in pressure situations. Who gave you that permission?
I think a lot of people along the way. I think the coaches that make the game fun. Like comes to mind. I think of Wally Kozak right away. He embraced those moments. We knew we had prepared for those moments. Mark Johnson's another one that I think the game was always just that, a game. It wasn't to be made bigger than that, but it was, you're allowed to enjoy it. And as I've evolved as a coach now in the last 12 years, I look at my time with Japan. We were trying to push to qualify for the Olympics since 1998 when they hosted. And we got through that process. And on the way out to the rink, I just was high fiving them and saying, "Hey, smile, have fun, play." We've done our work. And you look at them now, and they're actually coined Team Smile Japan, and that's actually from that team and that group when we were together. We also had a snowball fight at that qualifier, and we were tossing snowballs at each other. And at the end of it, everyone was smiling, including myself. It was them versus me. And I just said, this is how we have to play. Like, this is the energy. This is the excitement. I'm like, we have to smile. So to me, when you're smiling and enjoying, you're always the best version of yourself. And at the end of the day, in competition, you always want to be the best version of yourself. So to me, it's an easy correlation.
I'm so glad I read the story about Japan. I was going to ask you about that, and it's a great story. And I believe it was right before a game that if you won, you would qualify for the Olympics. The first time since
Mm-hmm.
Japan hosted. And I thought to myself, I'm like, man, what a great lesson for all coaches, but particularly minor hockey coaches, where I think, you go to minor hockey rinks today and you see, 9-year-olds doing dynamic warm-ups, and it's very regimented, and kids feel like they got to put their left pad on before the right pad. How important is that atmosphere of play in just getting your team in the right mindset to compete?
Oh, it's just critical, and it's not even just minor hockey. I can speak to when I was on the national team. We performed better when we were allowed to be us and have some fun. I look at these tournaments where these young kids go to and they don't get the chance to go in the pool. Well, the whole point of the away tournament is the time at the hotel and in the pool. And in all honesty, we were on a recent road trip to Regina, and the Dinos jumped in the pool and they had some fun. Like, you're not overexerting, you're just enjoying. World Championship with Czechia, this last Worlds in August, they were they were going down the water slide in the pool. Like, we're all human, and so when you think of this, creating an environment, yes, there's routine and there's standards and there's things they always want to implement, and then that helps everyone grow as well. But I think the art of coaching is understanding when and how, and it's hard to sometimes know that, especially if you haven't been around the game or you don't have all the resources around you to help you. But recognizing, if that needle needs to go one way or the other, often enjoyment will get more out of your group and out of your team than regiment, at least in my experience. So to me, that capacity to find those moments of where you can bring some joy in, and let everyone be themselves and exhale, I think is really important. And I think that then when that pressure hits, there's a calmness to the group. There's a better level of confidence to the group for so many reasons.
Well, so you bring up your role with Czechia, the women's
Hmm.
national team, and maybe worth just pointing out for our listeners that currently you're sitting in your office at the University of Calgary, where you're the head coach, but that in a couple of weeks you're going to be heading overseas
Hmm.
for your role as the head coach of the Czech national team. You got hired in approximately mid-April.
Hmm.
The World Championships were pushed back until August, and you capture the first medal ever in women's hockey for Czechia. What happened between April and August?
Yeah, it was a short runway for sure, and it felt short, but we made the most of it. So there was a lot done between that time. Obviously, with me being here in Canada and the team essentially being in Europe and primarily in Czechia, but really the women were all over the world. The maybe the nice thing that came out of COVID for all of us was the capacity to communicate face to face, even though it's through video. So we leveraged that very early on. We started with a big whole program meeting to then smaller group meetings to then I met with all of them one on one virtually. So that was sort of a 6 week process in that. And the objective through all of that had nothing to do with hockey. I didn't show them a hockey clip. I wasn't talking breakouts. I was trying to figure out who's on this team. And then more importantly, where are we as a team? What do we know that we can own, that we're great at? And what are the areas that maybe as players they've identified for us to help make it better? So, in those conversations, I learned what kind of ice cream they liked, and realized, some of them enjoy their beer every once in a while, and just getting to know them as people. And then I did ask them if they had just been named head coach of the women's national team, what would be one thing they would change to ensure that the experience was even better. So I let them do my job for me, in all honesty. So that gave me a bit of a roadmap, to the point that, okay, I kind of had a priority, because when you're on a short timeline like that, you can't fix too much. You got to find one or two pieces that you can maybe help them elevate, and then the rest is bolstering what's already there and building upon that. So, I think as a staff, we were very cognizant of how we went into this group. So I got on the ground with them at the end of July. We had about 4 days in Czech, and then we went to Finland for 2 exhibition games. And I didn't come in with an agenda. I didn't come in saying, we need this. I came in and thought, okay, we need to fix our net front presence because we don't have any. And to score goals in the women's game, we know where they're coming from. Statistics show us. So let's fix that. But other than that, I need to observe and learn. So, I think it was maybe a bit of a unique approach. I think potentially a lot of staffs would have gone in and thought, I need to fix A, B, C, D, E, and F. And we're going to impart that on them. We're going to force that on them. Versus what we did was, we need to fix this one thing for sure to help us score goals. But now I just need to assess, where are we at and how do we build from that? So it was a very important phase for me to learn, to then better help us as we headed into the World Championship.
I just want to go back to something you said. So just for context sake, so Czechia had appeared in, I think, part of the 6 World Championships, had never finished in the top 4. Mm-hmm. So when you asked them what they were great at, what kind of feedback did you get? Like, did they recognize that there were some areas where they felt that they were really strong?
I think in general, it's hard for women to often own what they could be very good at. And so they naturally downplayed, and they're sort of hemmed and hawed. The one thing they knew is they were good at puck possession, and they are. They're the best in the world at it. It's something else. It's something that I'm stealing from them to bring back to my group here at the university and beyond. So, they were aware of that, and they had been, that had been highlighted for them in their previous coaching staffs, and just anyone that watched the game, you could see they are very good at it. Beyond that, there wasn't a lot of confidence in a lot of areas of their game. Their power play had gone 0-4, I'm not quite sure, 19 or 20 at the Olympic Games. So, there was an uncertainty there, and just these nuances. They hadn't won the big games yet. They qualified for the Olympics, which was massive. So that was a huge accomplishment in the year leading up to the Olympics. But then they felt maybe a little bit underwhelmed by their Olympic performance. So I kind of caught them on the backside of their Olympic performance. So there was maybe a little bit more negativity and doubt than really what they probably could have owned. So it was just that fine line now of, finding, okay, they're confident in the puck possession, so we got to leverage that, but then we got to build out from there.
One of the most important things to anyone, especially competitive athletes, is feedback. No one wants to hear a great game all the time. They want to know why they played well or why they didn't. And Power Play is a very good platform for this because it encapsulates many of the areas of the performance spectrum. Now, a player might have gone pointless in a game, but a coach can watch that player's shifts and then say to that player, hey, you scored 4 goals, you were on the ice for 3, and you made a really good play that helped us get into a scoring situation, and that is really important for our team. A player who played hard and smart in a game might not show up on the scoreboard, but the analytics folks might think he was the best player in that game, and we need to make sure that we can assess those areas of a player's game and provide that feedback to him or her. Practice is also an area where coaches can generate a lot of dialogue with players. How you practice is how you play, and many good youth hockey coaches have found a way to film practice, review it, and give feedback regarding work ethic, execution, and compete level. Power Player has metrics for all of this, as well as a great area for using video, which to me is the best teaching tool we have and which I utilized a ton on this platform. Power Player allows coaches to reach a greater number of players on a larger number of topics in a way that today's young athlete needs and understands.